So, so, and Dan, I mean, he would, he'd be up in McCall, wherever we were, McCall, Lava Hot Springs, Coeur d'Alene. He would like be stalking me in the mornings. It's just, I'm probably trying to get away. I mean, I'm in ministry, so I'm in conversations all the time. So when I get away, it's nice not to have to talk. It's nice just to have solitude. And no matter how much I might try to slip out, it was Dan. Gloriously quirky, insightful, lovable individual. And so we would just walk. We walk the streets, the back streets of the hall and Coeur d'Alene, and just talk about whatever. We talk about the Bible a lot. Talk about conversations he's having with friends and navigating friendships. But I think he just liked to be along for the walk. And the one thing, I guess I'm modeling for you what I encourage you to do, but maybe not as long. That's the pastor thing. Pastors will just go on and on and on and on. But I actually have stuff to talk about. That's why normally at one of these, I'll say, okay, you guys, you talk, so I have something to talk about them. So I listen to the stories, but I do want you to do that. This is an opportunity where you can do that. With Dan, as we as we did life together significantly, really more than I did with most small groups, home groups, and such. I don't know too many home groups where we would jump on the train and fly back and travel and hang out and play cards until 1 in the morning or something. Not a whole lot of home groups, but this group, Dan was just right there, always in the midst of it. The one thing I always saw with him was there was just an attention to detail into people. He was always in dances. He's always looking for someone that is just sitting there, and he would take that risk. And I'm familiar with the risk I take, and I usually have to be pushed into it. Dan was kind of pushing himself to always make the invite, so they're not just sitting there thinking, "Wow, I wish I could dance." And would approach them on the level, meet them there. Even had special one-on-one sessions with our dance instructors just to help him. Specifically dancing with people who had never danced before, just so they would not be ill at ease. So that was Dan. Dan, Nicole, I'm kind of stealing the thunder. I just need to get your obituary. Do you want to read that? But yeah, you caught it. It's like, I mean, sometimes you read an obituary and then you know the person, and it's like we have two different people here. But this tracks with what we saw for 10 years with Dan. Dan would notice things about people and then would come up with some of the most interesting ways, t-shirts, hats. I have some really interesting t-shirts from Dan. And some of which I'll wear. Others are just tucked away. Because Dan, I don't think I'm going to wear that anymore. And for he just paid attention. One time, I think he saw me saying, "Ooh, moon pie." He just started showing up with moon pies. Mini moon pies. And so when we went to Nashville last year and found out that is the moon pie capital of the world, there's 8 moon pies there. Brought him back a moon pie t-shirt. Nashville. But, not Nashville, sorry, Chattanooga. But anyway, I'm going to read Nichols' obituary. And I'm a pastor, but I don't have a sermon because the sermon is Dan. It's his life. And that's where you guys just need to help us out. With any other details you want. I can go on with stories, but I'm still wanting to know what your connections are. A little bit from vertical, but I would love, that would really be what fills out this moment, just like we need to fill out this book. See, Nicole, just keep coming back. Just like we're going to fill out this book, to fill out this moment with, with a story, an anecdote, a memory of Dan would be amazing. Okay. Daniel Cole, 1969 through 2026. Daniel Cole, a man of deep faith and quiet loyalty, passed away in late March 2026 at his home in Boise, Idaho. He was 56 years old. Born in Indiana in the fall of 1969 to Jared Cole and Norma Wilcoxon, Dan was welcomed into a tight-knit family. The Cole family moved frequently throughout his childhood, following his father's job opportunities across the country. Those years drew the family closer as they were often transplants in a new environment. His youth was punctuated by long road trips, either visiting both sets of grandparents or in the midst of another move. Dan settled in Boise after graduating high school, enrolling at Boise State University as a history major. Excuse me. It was there that he made lifelong friends through a campus ministry then known as Campus Crusade for Christ. His faith and friendships were always steady anchors for him. After college, he built his professional life in Boise as well, spending many years in the loan department at Wells Fargo Bank. Steady, dependable work that suited a steady, dependable man. What is she going to say? Ornery. But this tracks, he was that. This is who he was. Steady and dependable. I still, for the rest of my life, I'm going to look for him to show up. Every time I hear the door at home when we have classes, I immediately look and think, oh, Dan's coming. I don't think that reflexes up to this because he was steady and dependable. He always showed. Dan had roots through his father's side of the family with Cherokee Nation of Oklahoma, a heritage that was part of who he understood himself to be. For most of his life, his father, Jared, was not just family, but his closest companion and housemate. The two men who shared a home, more than a few meals, so many movies, and a friendship that was well beyond that of father and son. Dan loved going to the movies, game nights with friends, and going out for Chinese food or pizza with his dad. He loved dogs with his whole heart. His favorite, by far, was Sweet Margaret, who will now be lovingly cared for by his sister. About 10 years ago, Dan discovered dancing, and with it, a whole new family. He threw himself into weekend-long dance events, traveling with a circle of friends who became some of the most important people in his life. That community will feel his absence deeply, and they do. His sister Nicole remembers something Danny did without fail whenever she visited Boise and prepared to leave. She would find a small gift waiting on her bed, often flowers or candy, from her little brother. A quiet gesture repeated across a lifetime that said everything about the kind of person he was. Though they often lived far apart and the relationship could be complicated in the way that only sibling relationships can be, I don't understand that. Sibling relationships complicated? But they still shared a strong bond. Dan was predeceased by his mother, Norma Wilcoxon Cole. He is survived by his father, a lifelong friend, Jared Cole, his sister, Nicole Cole, and Maureen. He considered the best daughter. So, well, I want to make space. Make space for you guys to go ahead and share. Like I said, the dance community is one part of his life. We've got a full respect for him, which is really cool to see. I've been to funerals where only 3 people show up. So the fact that this pavilion is filled and that it's perfect to call celebration today is a beautiful tribute in itself. So the presence here it speaks. But if anybody has something you'd like to share, story, and you can do right from read, or if you really want to come up here.
I feel like you visited this. That was the last time. was so observant. He was one of those guys that didn't always have a lot to say, but when he did, he'd been so attuned to everything going on around him that he was good to listen. He had something worth saying. I grew up with a pretty profound anger issue, and some of the ways that Dan would inquire about things about me, if they didn't come from anybody else, we might have had a problem, but it was impossible to be angry with Dan. And so it made it safe to go out to some places I might not have gone otherwise. I remember 1993, I got a chance to meet Chuck Swindoll. My cousin was going to some whole weekend to get to see she wanted to go there. She didn't do it. Her parents asked me to go with her. And so we got to see Chuck Swindoll do a big meeting there. And I went up and talked to him afterwards. He'd been talking about the kind of people that you need to have in your life who will challenge you, encourage you. And I told him about Dan. And Chuck Swindoll thing, and I said, "Man, brother, so you got a good friend." Yeah, we miss him well. So I'll just wrap it up by one of my favorite stories about Dan. We got on a hike at a place called Heart Lake. First night there, Dan and I were sitting on a log. There were a couple guys sitting there, our friend Brent. We were just kind of goofing off, and Dan and back and forth. And said, "So what do you think we're going to talk about this weekend? You think we're going to talk about God?" Yeah. We're going to talk. That's what we're here for. We're talk about God. So, yeah. We're going to talk about women. So, well, God made them and made us need them. Imagine, he wants us to know how he would have us, deal with women. Yeah, I think we're talking about women. We're going to have some good food. We're going to have some good food. It's, oh yeah, we're going to have some good food. And we're just kind of going on like that. And then I just spat out what I meant to be a comic and rhetorical question. I said, God, women, and food. Where would we be without it? And without missing a beat, and letting the rhetorical comedy linger, Dan just said, "Unsaved, unloved, and
That's the insightful part.
I think I've been known Dan for quite a while. We were similar, really competitive, right? We played lots of games. I remember specifically, I think some of the people here were there playing volleyball. Those of us who were here that day referred to as baseball. I think it was at the place where the hot springs pool is up by Idaho City. So we had a friend, Mark, who was pretty athletic. Goes up to this huge spike. Dan had done nothing the whole game. He just kind of nonchalantly put his hand up, blocked the spike. And we were all just like, I don't know what happened there, but even Mark was like, how did he block that? I mean, somebody jumped off the air like this, the block, he just stuck his hand out. Anyway, so at least from my perspective, I was on Dan's team. I'm like, I was like, oh, you got me. Put that hand up and make that block. So it's just, I guess that's just a good one. I'm going to miss it.
That's good.
I never knew anybody else like it.
Oh. Definitely. Talk about breaking the mold. Remember, quirky and honorary stories are welcome too. That was at the base right at the start. Okay, well, if something comes up in the meantime, you can let me just thank you both for sharing. I think that's really cool. What's interesting about Dan and my relationship with him as I thought about Dan, he's actually the first person we had like our own handshake greeting. We just developed it over time, and we just always. I've never had like a secret handshake. It takes someone quirky to actually make it happen. I think. But I miss that. Not just the way. And so I thought, okay, I need to find someone quirky in my life with whom I could develop. And I found someone actually on staff at church, and it's like, oh, all right, you're going to be my quirky friend. We're going to come up with. So we actually do hip bumps on each side, and then we developed the whole. Anyway. But Dan's attention to people is that's the thing. He would just surprise you. I don't know. I love that story, the volleyball story. That resonates. Yeah, it's beautiful. I would like to read. There was a tribute that Randy wrote for Dan. I think would be. I think you'll appreciate, Nicole especially. I think you'll appreciate this. But everybody, some lucky people find a friend in their life who doesn't cause dissension, arguments, or strife. Be he ever so orderly or quick. Most don't find that kind of friend from the day they were born until their end. If you find a true friend, hang real tight, even if your hug sends them in flight. Now that was one of the quirky things. Was that just us, or was that you guys too? I mean, okay, Lori, just demonstrate. Come here, demonstrate. Was that just us? All right. That's unique. Love it. I miss that. It makes me just want to start doing that just because. What would Dan do? Most don't find that kind of friend from the day they were born until their end. If you find a true friend, hang on real tight, even if your hug sends them in flight. If a person observes you so close in your life, you may be more aware of your quirks, even than your wife. You might coin a statement, an action, or a quirk, and then post it for you on a cap or a shirt. We might give you gifts that float around the room. We did that. Did you do that with you guys? Just leaving? That might have been a unique thing with you guys. The signatures. You did that right all the time. They'd go on a trip, and there would be ponies and various balloons, which hung around for quite a while. I try to do that, and it just falls flat. Literally, it just falls flat. So, unique. He might give you gifts that float around the room that make you think of him and aren't forgotten soon. This friend wants to join you for weeks at a time and be a third wheel. And view that as fine. If you can travel together and enjoy the trip, that was his idea. It's a real kid. This friend brings you drinks and snacks and treats, always personalized, which is quite the feat. He shows love and caring for those in his life and promotes their well-being, not hatred and strife. When he is harmed, which he was in many ways, he never showed vengeance in all his days. I was the blessed one. I had such a friend, and through my tears of sadness, he came to his end. I only know one who fits all this as a whole. He was my friend. I called him Dan. Now, of course, the beautiful thing is that I would just add that this was the end of the first significant chapter. Dan was strong faith, led with that. Strong faith, that's generally what we talked about probably more than anything else, was his inquisitive nature. We talked about scripture, what do you think about this? I had this person say this, I didn't know what to say, what would you say, and so forth. And And again, this of course is on vacation where I want to be off. It's like I'm not in service. There's Dan. Dan had a hope. He anchored in that hope. That wasn't just a quadrant of his life. That was actually a core from which everything else radiated. His attention to the least of these, that he wanted to make sure they were engaged, that they were not feeling left out. His attention to friends, to see what was a unique thing that he could give, some sign of his love, and just this recognition. I see you. So no tokens. It was always tailored. All that flowed from the core of faith, a resilient faith. The poem that we signed in here, did I mention this? There was this book of poems. Find one that speaks to you, and then just go ahead and write a message to his dad. We want this filled. We picked one. Actually, this was Luann. She didn't even ask me. That's just the way things are sometimes. But yeah, she picked one that, it has this line in it: another way to mourn is to sing a hymn to life, a life that still abounds in sights and sounds and vivid colors. The coming age is described most picturesquely in the prophets like Isaiah as being very much a gathering like this, but one of all peoples and all nations. And then there's a feast which is set. And at every feast in that culture, there would be wine. I don't know about the wine, women, and songs. There would be women too. But not that. Okay, anyway, you understand what I mean. There's going to be wine. There's going to be food. There's going to be dancing. In fact, the emphasis is that the lame will leap like deers, and the crippled will dance. So this is another way to mourn. This way I've been processing grief and pain for the last 13 years. When I was dragged in, kicking and screaming by that woman onto a dance floor because I'm an introvert. I want to be off, and I don't want to be out there where people can see me doing something I have no idea what to do because I have no sense of rhythm whatsoever. But that couple right there taught me how to move my feet in some way that I could actually have fun with it. And it's become my primary therapy. I tell people when I'm on Saturday night when they have a desperate ministry need, and it's like, I'm dancing with my wife. That's my therapy. This is what gets me through. I honestly don't think I'd still be here if it wasn't for dance. So thank you guys for that gift. Thank you. Dance community people who are here. That's another way that we can celebrate and process grief and pain, as well as channel joy. And I believe Dan did the same. He kept showing up on the last times he would show up. I'm thinking, Dan, you should just be lying down someplace because he's moving very slowly. I think his feet were giving him some issues, but he still he's just pressed right on into it because he wanted to be in that circle. So I know it had that same resonance for him as well. So that's a gift. So I was just saying, Nicole, thank you for giving us this opportunity to gather and to share. Please sign, write a message, eat some food, and then share some more stories. Okay, I'll just go ahead and lead us in a quick prayer, and then free you guys to the rest of your day. Father, we thank you for the gift of life and love and laughter and dance in the midst of the sorrows and the joy, the sorrows and the pains and the catastrophes and everything else that's wrong with the world. Creation is groaning, Paul says, as in the pains of childbirth until the sons and daughters of God are revealed. And we also inwardly groan as we eagerly await our adoption, the redemption of our bodies. That in this hope, Paul says, we were saved. But that was a reality in Dan's life, and that's a reality that we can celebrate. And Dan invites us to enter into enjoy. Give us the grace today to enter into the dance. Help us to find our way onto that dance floor. In ways in which we might be crippled, lame. Lord, let us leap like deer, and let us dance in triumph. And so loosen our tongues and our limbs to move in the rhythms of your dance, which is waiting for all creation to join. And we thank you for Dan because he heard it, and he responded, and he responds still, and he beckons still. As a voice to each of us say, come on and dance forward with us. So thank you. We commend his memory to you even as we nurture it in our hearts. And we look forward to one amazing dance reunion. And I suspect he will still be quirky or ornery. We thank you for that. That you take us and you shape it, we function in us. But we still see and know each other. We will know him. He will know us as we know him. So we look forward to that. God. We celebrate that. And we give all this to you in the name of your Son and our Savior, Jesus Christ. Amen. Well, God bless you. Thank you for being here. So.